Welcome back, folks, to another episode of Business from the Bass Boat on the Serious Angler Network, presented by Rec Lending. And today, guys, we've got a great show lined up. One that actually the last time I saw this guy was in a place, not Taku's Smallmouth Disneyland, but another one here in the state of Idaho was the last time I saw this guy running around. But excited for that. We got fall fishing coming up. I am headed on a bender of elk hunting tournaments, work. It's going to be crazy these next 3 weeks. So getting some shows cranked out while we can. But hopefully I see him back in my neck of the woods more than anything. Someone who I have just maintained contact with, a guy that can always bend an ear and talk business, talk the fishing industry, and just to learn from. And I think that's what the goal of today's show is. But let's bring him in the studio. What's going on, Justin?
Hey, not much, Adam. How are you?
Dude, I'm doing great. For those who don't know, in front of me here, and if you're listening on MP3, we've got Justin Russell of Russell Marine Products. Just unbelievable brand in this industry at this point in time. Watched this kind of grow from the beginning, just with my interest in the industry and everything else, and I've just seen it expand and expand. And man, how the heck are you? We're talking fall 2024. What's life like for Mr. Justin Russell?
Personally, it's busy, man. So we've got fall tournaments going on. We've got new boats showing up, selling new boats, rigging boats, pros getting their boats and stuff. My daughter's a senior. My son is 9. My son's getting 8 up into fishing. So a lot of family stuff, a lot of craziness, a lot of business stuff, a lot of industry stuff changing. So it's been a real interesting transition these last couple years, but probably last 9 months, really, with everything that's kind of gone on with the industry and stuff.
Yeah. So let's dig into that. I mean, I think let's start at some point, kind of like we maybe did the first time we had you on, which was a while ago, just related to how everything kind of came about with your brand and all of that kind of start to where we are now. But maybe for those who haven't listened into that, and our audience has grown significantly since then. But what does what does it look like? What did things look like when it all started for you? And maybe to a synopsis to where things are at now with the business.
Yeah, so it started right out of our garage. So my wife was early on. Dee, she still works here day to day with me now. She handles all the e-commerce side, the customer service, and we grew it out of our garage, and out of necessity, kind of kept growing. Saw little opportunities here and there. It was an interesting time where things started getting complicated pretty quickly. Electronics were getting complicated. Trolling motors were getting complicated. Networking in these boats got complicated really, really quick, and just who we were as individuals. I was always curious and a tinkerer, wanted to know the latest and greatest stuff. I've always been that way. But two, with coming into this as being really customer centric, and that's my wife's side of that, really implementing the customer service side, the education side. She really helped introduce me to why education is so important on this when things became complicated, and really helped us explode and expand, if you will. I mean, there was a period in time 6, 7 years ago where we were having dealerships send us boats directly from the manufacturer shrink wrapped, and we were doing the installs and the setups on them and shipping them back to the dealerships. Now, as that has transitioned on, a lot of the dealerships realized how important those education pieces were on the electronics and the trolling motors, where they had to have an understanding of it in order for them to help sell boats. Where previously, before that, most dealerships didn't care about the accessories. They don't want to sell knee boards, wake boards, or any of that stuff. They want to sell boats. They want to sell boats, financing, insurance, and all that stuff. And now, as those systems have become more complicated, as the manufacturers are still, some of them, not all of them, are kind of stuck in their ways of rigging stuff how they're rigged. We still find stuff wrong with some of the manufacturers we carry, some of the manufacturers other dealerships carry, and just really kind of growing that and educating that. People are now understanding the importance of the electronics are in the boat sale more than it's ever been in the past.
Sure. Yeah, I think that is I mean, I think we've all heard and have seen the horror stories of boats that are rigged by a dealer that maybe it's a dealer that really doesn't know bass boats, and they sell wakeboarding boats and they sell 5 bass boats a year, but you wanted, your graphs on it and this way, and then you start looking at the wiring and you're like, oh my gosh, we have got a mess and issues and all of that. I mean, I'm sure in those early days and still have issues like you mentioned now, but you probably did a lot of fixing of boats.
Absolutely, absolutely. Still
Yeah,
do.
yeah. And you guys are based there in Kansas, but really operate nationally when it comes to
I
maybe
mean,
internationally.
we ship product all over the world, and I'm always amazed at where we find people and customers and stuff like that. We had some close family friends took a vacation to the Bahamas and ran into somebody that lives there wearing our hat. I've been to Dominican Republic a couple years ago, and somebody recognized us down there. So, yeah, it's transverse from just little middle of nowhere Kansas, if you will. I mean, we rig boats from all over California, Florida. As we're selling boats now, we sell boats all over the United States now, and it's kind of crazy. I never thought it would be to this point where it is now, if that makes sense. So it's been a good blessing for us for sure.
Dude, no, I mean, I think too, you were it seemed like anyway, and correct me if I'm wrong, but kind of one of the early adopters of just a ton of content on YouTube and still are, just from an education standpoint. I think you brought that up. But for people understanding and making that decision, I just feel like you've done a really good job with that from the beginning. I mean, did you just have a feeling that this was all gonna be such a big thing? I mean, what was the push to really, because it's a lot of time and money and effort, right,
Oh yeah,
into this stuff. I mean, it is crazy how hard it is to really create content and do it correctly.
it's so
Um,
funny to hear certain customers or people out there in the industry that think that Garmin's paying us to do this. Lowrance is paying. I get nothing from them. I mean, literally nothing. We do that education piece now just to educate people to understand and how things work. To where if they can't get us on the phone or an email because it's after hours, maybe our video helps them with just resetting their trolling motor or installing this or just the more educated I think we are as anglers, the better off we are, right? So, and what I mean by this is if you don't do the installation on your boat and you have no idea how wires are ran, how the basic networking is, if you have an issue and you're on the water, it can be catastrophic. And what I mean by that is not engine not running right issues. It's just if you can't use your electronics and you're on a family vacation and you plan to drive to, say, OHIV in Texas, and this is a bucket list dream trip of yours, and now your electronics aren't turning on, you have no idea where the fuses are, you don't know how it's wired, it really puts a bad taste in your mouth. And boating, outdoors, and fishing in general, we have so much competition from other sporting activities, family things, inflation's up, things are expensive. I want to make it some of the most happiest, enjoyable times of your life. And it's frustrating when things don't work, and especially after a fresh install, right? So we really wanted to educate people to have an understanding of just be able to enjoy their time on the water. We're busier than ever. Kids are involved in sports than ever. And you don't, or at least me, I'm finding out that with my daughter being a senior involved in multiple sports and all the activities that she's in, and we want to support our children as best that we can, it takes time away. So you really value that time when we can all get together on the water and enjoy the outdoors and go fishing or boating or whatever that looks like. You don't want to have a bad experience, right? And especially if you're spending several $1,000s. I mean, we have some installs that are $20,000, $30,000 installations, very, very complicated systems. You want it to work. You want to be able to get out there on the water, turn it on and work. And if something goes wrong, be able to fix it and save your trip, not be these end all ruining trip, right? And when we first got into the education piece, it was kind of by accidental. We were getting a ton of phone calls of what does this do? What is this transducer? Will this transducer work with my unit? I've got a unit that's 4 years old. What do I need? And it was one of those things for us that this, I hope this doesn't come across bad because I don't want it to be, but we were getting so many phone calls throughout the day. We were losing sales and missing out on sales because we were taking 20 to 30-minute phone calls just to educate people on what this transducer is capable of and will or will it not work with their current system or setup that they already have on their boat.
Mhm.
So we started doing these videos on these transducers work this way. And I think one of the more popular early on videos we did was I was going over the difference in Lowrance transducers. And because I'm kind of a brutally honest person, I said, "Hey, this transducer really sucks. It's not
I love
really good." It was a Lowrance 3D structure scan system. But I did say, and this is truth, that the side imaging and down imaging from utilizing that is really, really good. It's the highest quality of anything that's out there on the market at the time. But the 3D aspect of it, which is what they were really trying to market and advertise as kind of this revolutionary thing, was terrible. It sucked. I didn't like it. And it was funny because people saw that and said, "Oh, he's brutally honest. He's not just trying to sell us something. He wants us to know this is the best way." And we probably sold more after I did that video because people understood what they were getting from that and they weren't disappointed. They had realistic expectations of what they were getting. And that was just my thing of I didn't want somebody to buy this thing for $1,000 and be upset at me for that. "Well, why didn't you tell me that? I want to return this. I don't like this and this and that." So for us, it was more of we were trying to solve a problem on how are we able to not have our phone systems clogged up because back then at that time, I was the one answering the phone. My wife was handling all the customer service. She was also answering the phone and trying to do sales stuff. And it was just this repeated like, "Hey, I've got this. What do I need? I want this. What do I need? Can this work?" And we just wanted to try to solve that and it worked. So the phone call started going down on the tech support side of it or the compatibility side of it and education side of it. And it was a, "Hey, I saw your video. Because you put that video out, I want to purchase from you, or I want to have you guys rig my boat." And that's when it really started. I remember my wife was like, "Hey, we've got a guy on the phone. We just sold him some electronics to, but he doesn't want me to ship him." I was like, "Okay." She goes, "He's from Indiana. He wants to bring his boat down here and have us do the install." I was like, "Oh, okay." So that's kind of where the light bulb really started going of like, well, there's a bigger opportunity out here with a lot of this that we knew of at the time.
And what year was that?
Oh man.
Just curious when the trend like kicked, right? Because now you see a bunch of
20
these install places.
2017. So 7, almost 8 years ago now.
Wow. Wow. And before I forget here, just the lessons you mentioned, business-wise, I think that are big, or you were trying to solve a problem and being brutally honest, right? With folks regarding the product. I think that's huge. I think that like it's an easier said than done when you are dealing with, by the way, the Lowrance rep that you're selling through and these types of things, to be completely honest to not just them, but to the customer base in front of you of like, hey, here's what I like, here's what I don't like. So awesome to hear that and that resonated really well with the viewership and then in turn customers, right? With things.
Oh yeah.
Good
It's
stuff.
funny. It's funny you say that because when I first met the higher ups at Lowrance, that video was brought up like immediately.
I bet.
It, but the funny thing about it was they Lowrance and even Garmin is this way. They're brutally honest about it, but they like that aspect. Now,
Mm,
I'm not trying to throw Johnson Outdoors under the bus. They do not like that. They
interesting.
they're they do not like that aspect. We're not a traditional retailer in the sense of if a customer walks in and says, "I want XYZ product," I don't go always, or our sales guys don't say, "Here you go, sir. Have a great day." We want to know more about your system. What are you attaining to do? What are you looking to do? And why that it is that? Because you may not be buying the right system. And I have a sales guy here, Chris, and he's awesome. So he has this saying, and I love it. It's, "I don't want to sell you a boat. I want to help you buy a boat." And he that saying right there really quantified a lot as to what we do as a company, what my wife was able to really help us realize we did. We don't sell you electronics. We don't sell you a trolling motor. We want to help you have an experience, which is awesome time on the water, catching more fish, and most importantly, the right product for what you need. Sure, I can sell somebody a $10,000 system if they're willing to pay for it, but they maybe need a $5,000 system, right? What they're looking to do, they may not need to spend $10,000 on their system. They maybe get by with, a 93 SV or a Helix 9 or an Elite 9 FS that would justify their system and save them a ton of money. So we want to help them do that because they're going to remember that, and that's going to what keep having the customers come back, if that makes sense.
Sure. 100%, man. Yeah. No, I think that's the best way to go about something, and that's how you build long-term relationships and trust, right? With it,
Oh,
with an entire
absolutely. Absolutely.
man. And so what would you say now, because you've mentioned some of the boat stuff. Because when was the transition for you? Because everything that I saw with Russell Marine Products prior, and I think even the last time on the show, you weren't selling boats quite yet.
No.
You were just doing electronics, in electronics installs. I always really loved the used situation, because you do install and then you'd have these used electronics, and gosh, there's such a good market for that, and people don't necessarily want the latest and greatest to stick on everything. And so, and they're great deals on things. But man, all that was going on. And then all of a sudden I started seeing like on your social media, like a boat getting posted and for sale and things. And like, that's my like business from the bass boat, right? Like, I really like these bass boats. I like all the different brands. I like all the thought processes between each brand. Where did that all come about?
Oh man. So very interesting story about this. For those of you that don't know a lot about my past before Russell Marine Products, I've been in the industry my entire life since I was 15 years old. Tried to fish professionally out of college, failed miserably, but always stuck with it. And that's kind of where I got the term, kind of like the electronics kid when I was a lot younger and stuff, just because I loved to tinker with new stuff and worked for a boat dealership for a long time. So knew a lot of the reps, knew a lot of the players in the industry, knew a lot of the pros from when I was fishing the opens and the ever starts from back in the day. And we really got cranking in on this. And one of my old reps, who happened to be a Skeeter rep from the time, said, "Hey, I'm in town. Can I come over? Let's have lunch. Let's see what's going on." I'm like, "Sure, Tim." And it's Tim Reed from Skeeter Boats. And Tim came over and said, "Hey, you guys need to be a boat dealership." And I said, "No way in hell." I was not looking to be a dealership under any circumstances. I worked for a dealership for 15 years, had my fun with it, really enjoyed my time there, learned a lot from the industry, and probably honestly got really burned out. Just that grind of I was fishing all the time, trying to sell boats when I was in town, and just got really burned out on it. And Tim's like, "Look, the old dealership that you used to work for isn't doing me any justice with Skeeter boats. In fact, the last Skeeter boat that we sold out of that dealership, you sold when you were there in 2013. So just consider it." And I was like, "I'm going to have to add on to our facility. I'm going to have to build a service shop. I'm going to have to get a mechanic," which, for those of you in the business side that don't know, the number one hardest factor as a boat dealership, and any dealership will tell you this, it's always brought up at the dealer meetings, is service. And not just how are you taking care of the customer, engines, boats, fuel, it's so problematic. These things sit, they're not used every day like a vehicle, right? So things go wrong and they're not easy to always diagnose. So you have to have a damn good mechanic. You have to have a very good service reputation. And every dealership around us in the South Central and even in the state of Kansas, going into Oklahoma and stuff, don't have good service reputations. So that
And
terrified the hell out of
that's
me.
and that's not just, I mean, like you said, I have that experience and have had this conversation with friends across the country. That is the biggest issue with consumers as well. Is like, man, I have to find a good dealer that I can do service through, and like the service side of this is like it seems like the hardest part to me in
Yes,
anything, right?
100%. And there's a very negative connotation with dealerships of any kind. Car dealerships, boat dealerships, ATV, side by side, off road type stuff. You've also heard this term, "Oh, it's a dealership." There are 100
Mhm.
and XYZ an hour, or they charge this, and it's a ripoff, and it's this. So there's a very negative thing there. We have had such a good reputation with us as a company with customer service, customer centric. And again, my wife has been adamant about this from the start, really obsessed with it, and it's paid dividends. So I'm glad that we have that. I was terrified that if we did something wrong on a boat or had a bad experience, that it was really going to bring down kind of our reputation, especially locally. Not many people around El Dorado, Kansas really know we exist, surprisingly. We have such this national brand, and we have people that maybe come into Wichita for work and they're like, "Oh my gosh, like I see your trucks around. I didn't know you were in Kansas." Like they see our wrap vehicles or our wrap boats around when we're doing filming out here. But when we get into that service side, I was really adamant about not getting to be a boat dealership because it honestly terrified me from so much from bad experiences from other people and hearing around. But that was also a really good opportunity because we don't have any sort of local service reputation. So it would be different if we were trying to buy a boat dealership that had a negative review structure or negative connotation, or people just didn't like it and try to overcome that. We'd have to spend a lot more money, a lot more resources and time to try to turn that around versus at least starting off. We've got the opportunity to do this correctly and really grow it. So Tim came out. I told him, hell no. And he said, hey, I'm going to leave a dealership application with you. And he knows my weak points. So he goes, talk to your wife, D, and just let me know. I'm either going to keep doing what I'm doing with the dealership that I'm doing it with, but I'd really like to find a new home for this. He said, because I feel like this other dealership is not doing the brand justice. Okay. So I said, we'll think about it. Tim leaves. And I've known Tim a long time. I fished against him in the opens, seen him around, see him quite often. And Tim leaves, and about 10 minutes later, when I was a lot younger, I used to run Yamaha outboards. I was sponsored by Yamaha. My old field rep from Yamaha called. And I hadn't talked to Randy in probably close to 8 or 9 years. And I said, hey, Randy, what's going on? Hadn't talked to you in a while. Now, I was running some new boats from some other dealerships in the past. So I kind of thought this was kind of a related deal. And Randy said, oh, Tim just left your shop and said you're signing up to be a Skeeter dealer. I need to sign you up to be a Yamaha dealer. I'm going to be in town tomorrow. Do you have time to meet?
This
And
was
I
planned.
literally, yeah, I wanted to
You
throw
were
my
targeted, man.
Oh, yeah. No. They saw me coming a mile away. I wanted to throw my phone across the room. I was so pissed. And I had a really good conversation with my wife, and she says, she goes, it's probably we really believe things happen for a reason.
Mm.
And here's a doorway opening to what unknown hallway we don't know, but we probably need to walk through it and at least investigate it. So I had a really like a 10-year friend that we've worked with in the past that is a very, very good auto mechanic. And I asked him, would you be interested in being a marine mechanic? And he said, yeah, let's do it. So, long story short, Seth came on board and he's been a rock
Got
star.
certified like with
Yeah.
Yamaha and Mercury or
Yamaha,
whatever else.
Mercury, Suzuki,
Wow.
and rock starred it and have taken off with that. Now, we started carrying boats in the fall of 2022.
Okay.
So this would have been the 2023 model year. Started with Skeeter, added Blazer, and then the spring of last year added Bass Cat, and real recently added Falcon as well. So,
Wow.
but we've built a whole new facility. We added on to our shop here for a bigger warehouse, and then we built a whole new shop just to the north of our building on the same property, but just to the north. That just service. That's all we do over there is service and stuff. So it
Wow.
was a very large investment. Again, very scary from the aspect. I was really nervous about the reputation, especially from the area, and it's been great. It's been very successful. We've sold a ton of boats all over the country. I'm always surprised. I have a hard time, just me personally, really thinking we add the value that we add, but we've got people driving from all over the country to purchase boats from us, and it's because they had the experience. Oh, 3 years ago, I bought my graphs and I had a problem, and you guys walked me through it over the phone. I want you rigging my boats. I want to buy a boat from you because I know it's going to be done right. So there's all these things that over time have accumulated up that really matter. And props to our employees and the people we work with every day, because somebody could just call in and have had a bad experience on a manufacturer, their local dealer, on something very basic or simple on electronics, but because we walked them through that, now they're considering buying a boat from us. And it's linked. It's all linked, and really goes to show how important every single person is that we have here that we work with every day, because it could be something very small and minuscule that we don't think is a big deal, have such an impact on our customer that they want to come back and now buy a boat from us. And they live 4 or 5 states away. So it's been a
Wow.
big, big deal.
Yeah, that's fantastic, man. I think you build that trust, and folks are gonna, when it's time to buy a boat or buy another graph or whatever it may be, it's like, well, I had a really good experience over here and I didn't necessarily buy anything, right? I was
Yeah,
asking questions. I was trying to understand. And oh, by the way, I've also watched the video on this and watched the review on this. And so, like, I love it, man. It's just like textbook what they say you're supposed to do, and you've done it the whole way through, and it just seems like it's rocking and rolling.
it is. Absolutely.
Good for you. That's great. Well, man, as far as where we're at now, Just had a show last week with Todd from Rec Lending talking interest rates. We just saw the Fed drop half a point
Mhm.
from that perspective. And bass boat market, I talk to a lot of dealers, I talk to a lot of boat reps and different things, and it's like, hey, where are things going? And that's what I always try and do, is try and get a understanding of where things are at in the market, and then bring it to light through the podcast and everything else. Um, where do you feel like things are right now, electronics, as well as the bass boat market? I mean, tons of changes in the industry. What's Justin Russell's take?
There's a lot. There's a lot of stuff to take in here. So we've got a lot of division in the country and in our industry with the forward-facing sonar controversy, with some potential cheating scandals going on in some professional tournament trails and stuff like that. The industry wise, I think COVID brought a lot of business forward. So customers or people who were probably going to purchase a new boat in say 2023 or 2024 got the FOMO effect, the fear of missing out. Boats were flying off the shelves. Dealerships couldn't keep them in. We were actually limited by several manufacturers on how many boats we were allocated per year.
Wow.
So here we are signing up to be a boat dealer the fall of 2022. And they say, hey, we're limiting how many boats you can get for 2023. And it's like, okay, well, how many can we get? Well, it's based off your past year's sales orders. We didn't order any. We were in a
Yeah.
dealer at the time.
New. Yeah.
How many are we going to get? Oh, we're not going to be able to allocate very much. Okay. So we take what we can get, sell them, which is 3 or 4 at a time, sold them immediately because again, nobody had boats. And this is where that value really comes in. We didn't have to add value. We didn't have to do everything perfectly. If we had the product, we were able to sell it. Same thing happened to a ton of other people who started popping up selling electronics. And I'm not knocking these guys because we started this way. But the people that were operating from a cell phone and a laptop and drop shipping basically were starting to rock star it. And you're getting this false sense of you're good at what you do. I got that way as well too. What occurs is you gain sales, but the only reason these people were gaining sales is they had a little bit of product. So they have a little bit, they're able to sell it, but they weren't educating the consumer. They didn't know the compatibility of things and all that. So as we come down off COVID, as inflation starts coming up, people now with the interest rates, as much as they want to be able to get a boat, it's just not the time for them to be able to do it. They just can't, from the affordability side, make it work. We also have so many boats out there in the field. We've seen some larger dealerships in our area. Boatworks is being one of them that went out of business. They popped up very, very quickly. Sold
Right.
lots of boats in 2019, and they went after it, man. And they went after it very, very aggressively, in my opinion. And we saw the same thing in 2015, 2016 with gun sales, ammo. Nobody had guns, nobody had ammo. All these gun people pop up all over the place, right? Selling guns, selling ammo, they're rock starring it. And most of those companies now aren't even in business anymore because it was a spike. It wasn't normal. And I don't think that time period was really healthy overall for the industry. Sure, it was great for the small time being, but realistically, that was unsustainable. Like, that was a lot. We were shipping out a ton of product, fielding tons of phone calls, and man, it got taxing. It really, really did. A lot of product getting out there, a lot of confusion. People were buying stuff that they knew was subpar product, but they wanted something to get on the boat, right? There was a
Yeah.
lot of money floating around, a lot of money injected into the economy, from business owners getting PPP money to the child stimulus money, the stimulus money coming in from everything and stuff like that, the child tax credits and stuff. So we had a lot of money floating around. We had a lot of remote jobs where people, the national parks were full. People were renting Airbnbs or buying lake houses and working from their lake house and then taking their kids out and going and enjoying the outdoors. Now, that's a good thing as well. We got a lot of people injected into the outdoors that maybe otherwise wouldn't have, right? We also got a
Right.
lot of inexperienced people that came into the industry that, probably had no business operating a boat at the time, right?
Right.
But as we come down from those heights and get more normalized, we're seeing manufacturer layoffs are coming in from Mercury. We're seeing it from Tracker Marine. We're seeing other boat manufacturers that are kind of struggling, but they came off the highs and they spent that money on more expansion, thinking the spike was more normal, and it just wasn't. And For somebody like us, our boat sale numbers are way up. But when you sold 25 boats last year and you're up 100%, we're up to 50 this year. That's not that many boats in the grand scheme compared to what other boat dealerships in our market have been doing for decades, right? So we're still growing that segment. We still got room to grow. Now, our e commerce side is coming down. There's a number of factors of that. Again, inflation coming off COVID. People bought a lot of stuff during COVID. We haven't seen a lot of new stuff come out from the manufacturers either.
Oh,
So
interesting. I haven't heard that thought process yet.
we
That
haven't
makes sense.
had a lot of that stuff coming out yet. So there hasn't been a ton of reason for people to necessarily jump and get new stuff. But we've also got now the late adopters are coming in buying stuff. So our used electronic stuff is really through the roof on those sales. And
Mm,
here's the other thing, market saturation. At some point, every boat's going to have a spot lock trolling motor, some sort of forward facing sonar, some 12-inch screen, and some poles on the back of it as well too. So our market's kind of changing within that. So at some point, everyone's going to have that stuff. And for our take too, the boat dealerships are getting more educated and better, kind of what I alluded to earlier. They understand the education piece that they have to know this product to be able to sell it. So more people are able to go to their local dealership, have a better experience, and be able to be one-stop shop, purchase the boat, purchase the electronics, get it installed correctly, and get out on the water and have a really good time.
mm.
So that's getting more as well too. We also have some competition in a realm where some other guys are coming in and doing a great job as well of educating their customer base, taking care of the customer as well too. There's a lot of good shops out there that do what we do. There really is. So people are getting more educated and doing a better job of that, and props to them for it.
Yeah, man. Well, I appreciate that honesty too of like, we're not the best out there. Like, just or I believe this anyway, but I see what you're saying. Like you're saying, look, there's good competition out there now. There
Yeah,
wasn't 5 years ago. You know what I
100%
mean?
not. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Oh
100%.
man.
And the consumer's more educated. We're seeing a lot of guys like, yeah, I'll try figuring it out myself. There's enough video content out there from anglers and influencers and other people that they feel confident to be able to at least attempt to tackle it on their
Mm,
own. And a lot of this too, most manufacturers nowadays did not offer 7 years ago some sort of bundling package. I think Phoenix was probably one of the first ones in 2018, 2017, where it was like you buy a boat, you get an Ultrex trolling motor, a couple helixes, and a set of power poles.
right.
Back then, the dealership was really in control of that. Like,
Mm,
at least the dealership I work for, don't order the poles. We can always install it on there if the customer wants it, but I don't want money tied up sitting there in inventory just sitting there. But now we started seeing the manufacturers offering these Ranger Cup packages. Phoenix had their package. Nitro has their Pro Pack now, where they come with a set of poles from the factory. They come with good electronics from the factory. They come with the trolling motor that you want from the factory. Where back in 2017, 2018, they didn't have that. That was too new a technology when it first came out. The manufacturers weren't doing it.
yeah.
So,
Yeah. Got it. And is that just if you're a White River Marine or a Phoenix Boats or any of these brands, but is that just a scale situation as well of like if you are gonna put a package together with a bunch of graphs on it and polls, like, are they getting those at a discount and then
oh, yeah.
are making a little bit, on that, but they're because Humminbird is giving them thousands of graphs or whatever it is a year, right? Like they're getting that at scale, and that's just how the position changed?
100%. So they're based off margin. So if same for us on our end. So we purchase boats from the manufacturer. We sell them to the consumer, right? It's based on margin. We want to make XYZ% margin on the boat. Same for the manufacturers. So the higher the dollar amount that manufacturer can bill us, the more money they're going to be making based off the margin's going to, the margin's the same, but the dollar amount increases
I
as the
see.
dollar bill goes. So if they can sell us power poles, if they can sell us graphs, and they can sell us a spot lock trolling motor, and they can increase the cost of that boat, say $9,500 or $12,000, they're going to be making more dollars on that, right? So of course they want to be able to do that. Plus, they want to be able to offer packages of a standardized system.
Mm,
So, for example, Skeeter Boats on their ZXR has a 9-inch Helix MDI up front, 12-inch Helix MDI in the console. It comes with the Ultrex Quest trolling motor and a set of Raptors. That is all Johnson Outdoor products. And
right.
if they say we build 5,000 of these boats a year, we need 5,000 of XYZ, what kind of deal are you going to give us? Well, Johnson Outdoors would look at that and say, well, it'll be a low margin for them, but when you got 5,000 new Skeeter boats a year running around with their stuff on it and people see that, that's what gets people buying stuff. Like, yeah, I saw that package. I really, really like that. That's a good deal. I want that. So Johnson Outdoors may be buying business by discounting their stuff to Skeeter. Skeeter's increasing their profit on that and selling it to us and getting more out there. It's optics. It looks so much better having more of their products around, especially when it comes factory installed. And I give those quotations because, again, just because it's done at a factory doesn't mean a damn thing about it being done correctly.
Yeah. Yeah.
We rewire every single boat that comes from the manufacturers here in our location.
Doesn't
Every
matter the brand.
does not matter. We rewire
Wow.
to our standards every single time.
Mm. Wow. That is, you think at some point things would get entirely figured out. And I think you're doing stuff at a higher standard. It's not to say that that maybe wouldn't work, but like,
I've been
holy
involved with a lot of focus groups from several different manufacturers,
focus
and they
groups.
involve us and they do their own thing, and we find the flaws and they go, oh shit, and they still don't listen.
I love the honesty,
But they're
man.
an electrical engineer. Great, but you don't use this in the real world capacity.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Oh man, that is funny. Oh gosh. I mean, I can't imagine. I think the part of the dealership side of the business that I mean, I'd personally struggle with a lot of things, but the one that I think is like I would struggle with would be like warranty on both motors, but especially on boats, man. Like that would be because so what does that look like? So say you sell a customer a boat and it's a warranty situation, something wrong with the top cap or gel coat or something related to the manufacturer. How does are you in charge of that as the dealer, or is that are they then refunding you from the back end? Like, how does that
Absolutely.
okay.
Yep, absolutely. Now, most of our small stuff, I don't advertise. I don't do tons of fiberglass. I'm not going to yank a bass boat that's got a catastrophic damage on the bottom. I'm not yanking those off the trailer, flipping them over, redoing those anymore. But cracks, scratches, nicks, little chips here and there, absolutely, we do those, especially when it comes to warranty work. It's very similar to the automotive industry. You can buy a boat and live anywhere as long as you've got a local supporting dealer that can handle that stuff for you. They can get anything taken care of for you because they're a dealer. We sign that in our deal agreement that if a customer comes to us and say they moved here from Texas or they found a deal on a boat that we didn't have, they went and bought that boat and come up here, I'm going to warranty that. Now, some dealerships, and I've experienced this personally, get a little upset with that. They're, well, your servicing dealer or your selling dealer is your servicing dealer, is what they say. Yeah, well, I believe in past, future, and current customers. So I may not have got you on this last boat sale, but I'm damn sure going to do my best to try to earn you on the next boat sale.
Mm,
So why would I turn that customer down and say, well, you didn't buy that Skeeter boat from us and you're 40 miles away? Well, we may not have had that Skeeter model in stock, or he may have been out of town, blew his motor, and in a pinch said, I'll take that damn boat because I want to go fishing because I've got a family reunion or I've got this trip planned. So I'm absolutely doing that. So from a standpoint, it's pretty standardized. I mean, we work on boats from all over. I mean, we've even had to fix some boats that were out of dealerships for warranty stuff. I mean, it's just kind of part of it.
mhm.
So the dealerships that complain about it and don't like doing that, I think are doing it incorrectly, honestly. I think there's a big opportunity there to take care of a customer. And man, we've had some customers that have become amazing friends to us here that we go fishing with, we take them out, and some have bought boats from us and some of them haven't, but they're just good people. And people tend to run around with other like-minded people. So I think handling the warranty stuff, we've had to go get boats that we've delivered or customers that I've got one that we're going to go to Illinois next week and have my driver pick up because we
Wow.
sold the boat. And honestly, I want to figure out what the hell's going on with it. So he's got a little bit of an electrical issue that doesn't make a lot of sense. And I want to see what's going on because A, I want to educate ourselves to know in the future in case we ever run across that. But B, he's bought the boat from us. We've been in contact with him and I want to take care of him. I want that to come from us. So we're going to go get it and bring it back and fix it and take it right back up to him.
I love it, man. That's awesome. Good way to be. And I think that that's doing the right things for the right people, and eventually it'll all come back. And it's not to say like you may get screwed a time or two, right? You may do some you may do some warranty work on a guy who bought a boat somewhere else and then go, by the way, he buys the boat somewhere else again. And you're like, well, but you know what? I bet more times than
Absolutely
not.
has happened. Here's the big thing. One, I want to be able to sleep at night. Two, I want to be able to know that we did everything within our power, so I can say I can walk away from that situation and feel good, like we did that right.
Mhm.
He may not be happy with the outcome, but I know we did everything we could and we did that right to truly make it whole.
Yeah. Yeah. Love it, man. Well, man, I think we kind of start wrapping things up here, but what does anything new for 2025 with Russell Marine Products? A
Oh
lot of
yeah,
changes. What give us a little tidbit or anything that you can share looking into the future here.
you're going to see a lot of new stuff come out of us under the RMP brand of
Cool.
products that is in a completely different realm of the industry that you haven't seen yet before. So we're really, really excited to that. We'll be able to talk about that a little bit after January, actually, with some stuff that's coming that's going to be pretty exciting. But we're really adding fuel to the fire on this boat dealership side of things. We've added Falcon boats for 2025, and really, again, I'm a people like networking relationship type person. That's who I am. So I value this. These guys that I've known, Chris Williams, I've known going on, I think 3 or 4 years now. But like Tim Reed, I've known Tim for 15 years, like long time. Mercury, our Mercury rep, our Yamaha rep, I've known a long, long time. So we're really adding a lot of the gas to that with boat sales. And I really feel some people may not like me saying this just from they may think I'm a Falcon Boats homer. I'm wearing a Bass Cat shirt and a Skeeter hat here, but I really like Tim and the owners and the leadership at Falcon Boats, man. They're down to earth. Maybe it's because I feel like they're a lot like us. They really try hard. You know that they're doing the best damn thing that they can do, and they do what they say they're going to do. Just like Chris. If Chris says, "Hey, man, I'm going to call and really dive into this," he's going to come back with an answer.
Dude, yeah.
And Tim and the guys out there at Falcon and Christina Howard that works in the office, they get it done what they say they're going to do. I think they build a very good quality product at an affordable price, affordable, right? With what we say with boats. But truly, I think it's an undervalued, underrated boat. I really
Mm,
do. I feel that in the next 5 years, the boat brand's really, really going to take off. And I'll be honest, I want to be in front of that wave. We're going to help build it and grow it. We're going to do a lot of video work on it and educate a lot of people. We're getting a lot of people in the boats to have the experience. And I've got people that have run Skeeter boats for 3 or 4 years that are like, Falcon's going to be my next boat.
mm,
So it's a great brand, I think, for people to get in and get behind and see as they appear infant, right? Like, so we always say, or I used to always say, overnight success, years in the making, kind of like us. People think we just came out of nowhere. Well, we've been in the industry a long, long time. Falcon Boats has been around a long, long time with some of the old beeline type stuff and bumblebee type of
yeah.
tooling and molding and stuff like that. And Tim's been in the industry a really, really long time, from fiberglass repair and other aspects and other boat manufacturing itself. So I think it's a good boat to get in front of, and truly, whether it's from us or another dealer, if you're really looking for a new boat, I really think Falcon should be on the short list of boats to really consider for people, just what they're able to offer for the price point. I really do.
Man, I love that. I think something so I had been chasing this for a while. I had met Tim at a Bassmaster Classic a couple of years ago, and the idea of like getting them on a podcast was like, man, I've had a lot of bass boat brand owners on and manufacturers on in general, but it was like, man, I want to get these guys on a newish boat to the industry and all this stuff. And finally, through our buddy Chris, got the connection once he moved over to Falcon. Like, hey, let's put this together. Actually, like I've had Chris on plenty of times as a Blazer rep, and now is this, but like let's make this happen with these guys. And after interviewing them in person, well, not in person, but through this platform
Yeah.
and having multiple phone calls after and beforehand, it's like these guys are legit. They are down to earth. They are my kind of people from the standpoint of like, I don't need a boat to be crazy fancy. I want a fishing platform that works, and I want it to, if I have issues, I can fix them. There's switches that are easy. Like that's just me. Like I'm looking for simplicity, and I don't want to break the entire bank. I want to be able to have a fishing platform that I feel good out of to fish tournaments in and enjoy and that kind of a thing. And it just seems like you said, I don't know. That's been my overview with the folks over at Falcon. And it's cool to hear that from you as a guy who's selling a lot of boats.
There's this interesting trend going on that not a lot of people are maybe noticing. I'm kind of a different guy. I look at a lot of things objectively. I've sold a lot of boats from working for a boat dealership since I was 15 years old, and it was always the latest and greatest in technology is what was demanded in boats. So we wanted push start, dash panels. We wanted digital dashing. We wanted digital displays on all these boats. And we dealt with a lot of people who had high discretionary incomes that were high income earners. They wanted the Rangers, the Vexuses, the this, the that. Those guys now are in their mid to late 60s. They can write a check truly for any boat they want and buy 10 of them at a time. I mean, they're wealthy individuals, but they don't want the Vexus Ranger icon style all in one inclusive boat. They are all, for the most part, from my experience, they want a basic boat that has rocker switches in case, like you just said, something goes wrong. They want to fix it. They don't want to have to go to the dealer and wait. And that's the other thing that during COVID, a lot of people experienced is everyone was buying boats, probably on from the use aspect. People were jumping into the industry and market so fast. They were buying boats they had no business buying boats of. And what I mean by that is they were truly getting taken advantage of. They were buying boats that didn't run correctly from individuals. They were trusting individuals to say, no, the boat runs great. They're buying it. Then they're taking it to the dealership to get it fixed. And it sat for 3 or 4 months because everybody got their boats out of the garage that hadn't used their boat in 2 or 3 years. Everybody was buying boats that they had no business buying because they didn't know anything about boats and didn't know that, no, that's not correct how it should run. And then they got to wait at the dealership for 3 or 4 months because parts inventory shortages were shorting out on stuff. So now people are like, I want basic, I want easy, and I want to be able to fix it myself. And I just want to go fishing and not worry about anything else going on with the boat.
Man, I think I see that trend as well, just in the folks that I talk to. And like it's a lot of these folks that, man, same age demographic as you're talking about that I fish tournaments with and those kinds of things. And it's like, yeah, they buy a new boat every year. It is not a financial struggle. It's not a piece, but it's like, I just want something that works, man, that I don't
Yeah.
have to like understand the technology on the boat side. Now, my graph side, that's a whole nother thing. But like on the boat side, I want it to be easy. I want to press the button. I want to turn the key and go. Like that's it. And man, I totally agree. So it's cool to see that sentiment and from your perspective as well. Man, I think I know you've got a busy day ahead of you and stuff to do. But the last thing I will ask is, are you planning to head up this way at all? The last time I saw you was on a neat little place in Idaho. But what I know you're a busy guy, but what does your fall look like?
Man, it was funny you say that because I was surprised you even recognized me. Honestly, we were pulled off on the side of the road so I could take a leak. And here you go driving by the hills of Idaho. You're like, Justin? I'm like,
Yeah.
hey, how's it
You're like,
going? Like,
who are why? I'm in the middle of nowhere right now.
yeah. Yeah, we were waiting to meet up with Josh Jones to go do filming, which was a blast. Caught my personal best smallmouth on 703. Awesome, awesome. Um, I don't know tentatively. Josh is up there right now, so we're
I
filming this
saw.
September 18th, 19th, September 19th. Josh is up there right now. Just caught a 9-pound smallie last night. Yeah,
That's
he's
awesome.
an animal, dude. He is the best at that of anybody I know. It's unreal what he can do with that. But um, Luke Clausen is potentially going to have us rig some of his boats, and he's trying to talk me into riding back with him. I think to help him drive back and maybe spend some time up there in the mountains doing some fishing in the wintertime and then flying back home. So we'll just have to see when he can get his boats here. We can get them rigged up and stuff and go from there. We've got, again, my daughter plays dual sports in the fall and it's her senior year. So I want to be around to be able to support her and see a lot of that stuff. So we'll see.
Got it, man. Totally. Got it. Well, man, let's get you on again soon, especially let's think early 2025 with some of these new
Absolutely.
products coming out. Would love to hear what that is all about. And man, I really appreciate your insight and always the conversations with you. And man, yeah, have a great rest of your day. And we'll see you down the road for sure.
All right. Well, I sure appreciate it, Adam. Have a good one. Thank you again, guys.
Absolutely.